All right, so for this little sampler, I'll be giving you some exercises and stretches that you can do throughout the day whenever you feel you need to break up all of the sitting and the hunching over computers that we do now that, especially now that most of us are working from home. So the first one is a supine twist. This is really going to help your lower back throughout the day. Rotating on different planes, since what we do while we're sitting is just is looking at one plane. There isn't much movement. There's a lot of pressure towards the lower back because we are most often slouched forward. So this will help open up the part of your back that is most supporting you. So after doing this, and you can always just hold it as well if that feels like a really good spot for you. The next one is classic windshield wipers. This one I feel gets closer to the sacrum than the supine twist. And after a few rounds of this, I always like to set, once I'm down to the side, I like to set my top foot on the lower leg. That really stretches out the side as well as the hip, getting real deep in there. And switch. Next, we're going to go for dragon. So before getting into dragon though, as you have the foot forward with your hip in line with your knee, this is going to be a really good one. You're going to flex your glutes and then reach up over your head. So this stretches out and strengthens the front hip, but also all along your side body. So flexing the glute and really pushing into the ground with the top of your foot is what engages the front side of your hip. So just hold that for a little bit and then take a little bit bigger step forward and lean into the dragon. You can rest your hands on your knee. You can raise them up for a little bit more intensity. Or you can do a little bit of a twist if you feel you need that very easily by putting the left hand on the inside if you're stretching with your right, and then keeping your right hand on top, twisting. This is a really good one to get the twist at the same time as the hip stretch. Always be sure to even things out. So another one after dragon to do is pigeon. So you can do this any modified version, because I know this can be very intense for a lot of people. It's very intense for me. So if you wanted to modify this, you could sit back, bring your knee forward, foot forward, and then kind of roll your hips back onto it if just sitting like this is too intense for you. And this also gets more into the side of the hip and thigh. If you do it this way, this is more of a full hip stretch this way. We'll hold this for just a little bit. Taking nice deep breaths. Use these stretch opportunities as a way to check in, because we can be so inundated with what we need to do. We could be thinking about dinner time. We could be thinking about the next day already. But this is a great opportunity to check in with yourself right now. Be present and nurture your body. After you're finished with pigeon, next you can get into downward dog. And this next move I borrowed from Animal Flow. It's called a wave unload. So when you do it, you're going to make a wave with your spine. So tuck your chin, get on your tippy toes, and then lean forward, moving through your spine, lowering your hips towards the ground, like up dog, and then reverse. So tuck your chin in, and then bring the shoulders up, and then the hips, and then sit back into down dog. So you can do this a few times. Breathe out on the way, no, breathe in on the way up, and breathe out on the way down. Timing this one with your breath. And then next, you're going to get into a crab position. So the opposite of tabletop. And this is called crab reach. So what you're going to do is you're going to push into bridge, but reach the opposite hand towards the opposite side, but try to keep that arm straight. This is great for just overall stretching, counteracting the crunching forward that we do as we sit. So just do this a few times. fully do crab, pushing your hips towards the ceiling. I like to have my fingers pointing away from me. This helps me to really open up my shoulders as I'm pushing up. Really engage those glutes as you do this. And you can do this a few times as well, or you can hold it. So for this next one, you'll need a blanket or a pillow of some sort. If you have a blanket, I suggest folding it in half and then rolling it up. And so, if you're at home, you can lie down on your back. You're going to want to position this in line with your belly button. And then you're going to interlock your big toes and then flip your palms towards the ground and interlock your pinkies. And then just lay here. You can hold this position for as long as feels good. If you need more support, then you can re-roll your towel or double it up, your pillow. Like so. This helps with the natural S-curve of your spine, because we've been told sit up straight for so long, and that's not the way the spine naturally sits. Our spine should not be straight, it should be curved in order to properly distribute the weight that it is experiencing. So this helps support the lower S-curve. So after you've held that for however long you would like, because honestly you can sleep like that if you wanted to, it feels really good. The next one you're going to step forward almost like a triangle. You're going to keep your knee bent, and then you're going to reach and try and that's the opposite side. You're going to reach and grab your back with the opposite hand as to the one that's forward, and then you're just going to push your elbow back as far as you can while trying to not overextend your back, but more so emphasizing the elbow stretching. This is to help counteract our forward. When we're typing like this, we have to round back. So this is targeting one, but also stretching out the side body at the same time. that one for about 5 breaths or so. And then switch sides. That one helps really open up the shoulders, and you can target whichever side is weaker for you. So for this next one, what you're going to do is clasp your hands behind your back. And then roll your shoulders back, really emphasizing your chest forward. This is great to counteract the hunching that we do as we're at computers or over our phones. You can even look up during this to help with your neck. And once you've done this for a few breaths, I will take a little bit wider than shoulder width apart stance, and then bring your hands up and lean forward. And then allow your hands to bring you back up. This next one, you're going to need a wall of some sort or a doorway to work with. But what you're going to do is you're going to reach towards the top of the frame and then step forward, really holding on to that. It might be better if I do it like this for you guys. So really emphasizing this area of your shoulder, because this is the shoulder muscle that gets weakened as we hunch forward, because our body isn't using it as much. So your body's like, hey, it doesn't need that strength. We could use it for hunching more. Then switch sides. This is really great if you want to do both at the same time, or one, to focus on whichever side needs it the most. This next one, you'll want some kind of long pole or a towel or rope of some sort. And all we're doing for this one is up and over a few times. This really opens up your shoulders. Go as wide as you need to in order to do this. You don't want to overexert yourself doing this or injure yourself. Just do this a few times. And after you're done with that, I would with whatever you're using, bring your hands and make sure that there's tension in the middle between your hands. Bring your hands to shoulder width, and you're just going to pull it towards your chest and really emphasize arching your back toward, or arching your chest towards the pole, rope, or towel. Push it back. This is going to help strengthen those back muscles, the antagonistic muscles, to the ones that you use to hunch forward. So you can do this. I'd say about do about 10 of these. Then once you've done that, so you're going to keep it at the chest, and then push downward, and then keeping your back flat, you can bend your knees. Let me do it this way, if you can see my knees bend. Keep your knees bent, and then just come up. This is going to help strengthen your lower back, so that it can bounce back more quickly from all of the stress and tension put on it as we sit. So I would say do this about 10 times. And you're going to, as you do this, you're not going to want to come up until your hands are parallel to the floor. So after you've done that a few times, go back down, forward fold, and I would say step your feet out just a little bit wider. And what you can do is, if you have a pole, I don't know how well this will work with a towel or anything, because you need the stiffness and leverage. Set it as you tilt to one side, set it on your leg, and then use that leverage of the opposite hand to really add that twist. And as you do this, you're getting a really nice stretch all along your side body. A little added bonus. Then you can switch sides. So for this next one, I don't really have a name for it, but I call it the YWTL, and you'll see why it's called that, or why I call it that. So what you're going to do is lift your hands up like a Y, and then really push them back. This is going to give you some tension along your shoulders. This is strengthening your back muscles so that you can round and hold your posture forward instead of this way, like most of us do, because we're hunched forward over things all the time. So there's Y, then there's W, which is pretty much cactus arms, and then T. Did I say T in the same thing? And then L. So you're going to want to hold those each, I would say about 3 to 5 breaths each to really help with that. And with that, that's the last one for the sampler. Use whichever ones you feel is going to help you the most throughout the day. I'd say if you've been working for about an hour, I'd take about 10 minutes and do 2 to 3 of these stretches in order to help counteract that sitting that you've been doing. And hopefully this serves you well. Peace be with you and blessings, my friends.